you always hear this term like that it's lonely at the top.
Mhm.
So, have you ever felt that loneliness at the top? And if so, how do you build that support and resilience in those moments?
I think first of all, giving and receiving feedback is not as hard as most people think it is. What is hard is most people are defensive about it, and that makes it harder. But like if you have the right circumstances, getting and receiving feedback is a very natural thing. And I think I'll just call out one caveat in your question, lonely at the top. I'll give you an example. Even when I was in the process of making that journey into out of program management into something else at Adobe, right? At that time, I had hired an executive coach at my own time, and I wasn't particularly rich at that time to spend, I think, $5,000 or something out of my own pocket was material amount of my post-tax annual income. And I saw the power of feedback and questioning and so on, and what it can bring. Because this gentleman who was my executive coach at that time, former PwC partner, and sort of doing this as a retirement gig probably. But he started. I gave him some charter, like, hey, I want to think about product management or something, right? To his credit, he did not take at the face value. He started probing me on multiple directions. So one of the things that he probed me was like, why do you want to be in Bay Area? Like if you go to Sacramento or like even other areas, like your cost footprint simply drops, and that gives you a lot more flexibility. So we went through that mental journey, and I found myself, I had very strong reasons to be in Bay Area, like least of which are like social reasons. I was actively performing music and so on and so forth. So, but the good thing is that we talked through that very rationally, as opposed to, hey, this is not my why I hired you. Let's talk about something else. The next thing he did was like, if you want to do something different from program management, let's say product strategy or something like that, why don't you like think of you yourself as a brand and your music as the product? And at that time my YouTube channel already had like a good number of viewers and so on. It was early days for YouTube, and so people were watching my videos and whatnot. But just walking through that conversation, and again, obviously I did not take that path, but getting to a clarifying position where why I'm not taking that path, and I am actually at peace with that, right? That was a very, very good thing. I think what worked in that process is that if I were to keep his charter too narrow and say just focus on these few things, and like, I don't think the kind of mental clarity I got on many of these other issues I would have got. So, like coming back to your main question, though, like the main thing in feedback is the relationship, right? And the relationship, like if you create the environment of, if you're a receiver of feedback, right? If you create environment of comfort and gratitude for receiving feedback, then people giving you feedback will open up much more, as opposed to being worried about their own relationship with you and therefore not telling you things that you need to hear. Now, in professional context, some companies do this very well. In Meta, there's a big feedback culture, a big part of Meta's own culture. But focusing on those relationships first and like creating the zone of comfort, especially with trusted people, that is extremely important. It does get like lonely at the top sometimes, because the organizational hierarchy brings you a lot of perceived power, whether you wield it or not. And that can create a culture of sycophancy. People will tell you whatever you want, they think you want to hear, and so on. So, how do you not create that culture? And also, how do you bring your ecosystem of mentors, whether it's your peers or like some neutral folks in your organization who are not directly involved in your work, or like people outside your company. That is an extremely important thing to do. And I have been blessed with a few, so that has been very useful.